Today I'm sitting with Hein Raat, who is the VP of Exploration with District Metals, that's correct, who have multiple projects in Sweden. They're very Sweden-dominated. Viken, which is your uranium, vanadium, molybdenum, kind of like a kitchen sink of the good stuff, and also Tomtebo. Now, first of all, welcome, Hein.
Thank you.
Now we're at the SVEMIN Autumn Summit here, and there's been a lot of talk about lifting this uranium moratorium, the ban, and it seems to be positive in the view of lifting it. How would this affect District, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, of course, we have been waiting for a final decision stated by the Swedish government for quite a long time now. We know this is up in the air, but a final decision and an exact time frame when the moratorium will be lifted, that's still something we're waiting for. We had good hopes for today, but as the State Secretary mentioned during his speech, he was just raising that he will lift the moratorium, but not when.
Not a when, yeah. How big is this project, and could you just give us a bit of a background on Viken itself?
Well, Viken, if you just look at the historic resource, it's actually the second largest uranium deposit in the world. So that sounds, of course, extremely sexy, but it is not only uranium, it also has other elements like vanadium, potash, moly, nickel, copper, zinc. So it's basically, you should see it as a sponge which sucks up all these metals but in low quantities.
Okay, so it's size that you're going for with Viken rather than having really high grades. You're looking for size.
It's a low grade deposit.
Yeah. Okay.
For multiple elements.
Okay, fantastic. And could you give us a range of those grades because this has already had a scoping study done on it?
It has a historic PEA. So it was initially Continental Precious Metals, who operated this project before. So they acquired the project in, I think, 2006 and worked on it for at least a couple of years. But their main focus was drilling in, say, 2006 to 2008 and a little bit of drilling in 2011 and 12. And they put out two preliminary economic assessment studies, one in 2010 and one in 2014.
Okay.
And again, the numbers in those studies are gigantic, and I think this is also not the way forward of how we would have approached this project. So we do think we can do a better job.
Okay. On that, how would you approach it differently to what Continental did?
They initially, in their first scoping study or preliminary economic assessment study, they proposed a very large pit, which you actually could see out of space. So, like too big to be ever economic in a way. So I think the first approach would be just to look for where are the sweet spots and go for a very small mining scenario or a much smaller mining scenario.
Okay,
and if
target
you do
the high grade.
Look for the areas where there's higher grade. So these alum shales, they are very homogeneous when you think about grades. There's not too much variance.
Okay.
But look for an area which has maybe a better social license perspective. So away from where people are living, and focus on those areas to develop them first, and then maybe go forward.
Absolutely, yeah. And a lot of that area is actually owned by the National Forestry.
No, not really. I think we have to look into who is owning which part of the land. There's a lot of agriculture, so there's a lot of farmers who produce hay for cattle and their horses. But for the rest, it's forestry. Okay, great. Yeah, and I mean, this area isn't a brand new discovery. This has been getting drilled since the 70s, I think, with the Swedish government, SGU. So there's a lot of background historical information you can get from there as well. How far? What's your next plans as far as Viken? So basically what we have done so far, because we can't do any work because of the current moratorium on uranium. So what we did is compilation work. So we looked at some of the historic drill core which is available in the SGU core repository. We took some samples there. We did some basic field work, so we were out just checking the areas where we have our license. Took a few samples just to know what's in there, and again we want to know more about these alum shales, because there's also, for instance, potential to have elevated rare earth elements, and that's something which had never been investigated in detail before. Okay. So compilation of all the data, and the next step probably would be to do a very modern airborne geophysical survey.
Yeah. Okay. Would that be looking at radiometrics or?
No, we will use a EM-dominated system. Okay. Of course, we will probably also do a radiometric survey at the same time. But with this new EM survey, we're hopefully identifying other areas of interest which can host these mineralized alum shales. But it's very important that we know where they occur, because we don't want to go too deep into the ground, and we need to know how thick they are. Mm-hmm. And with this new EM method, those kind of questions are hopefully answered.
Yes,
because with the ordinary SkyTem or VTem methodology, you often get like where they are, and often you get at what depth, but you don't get anything about the thickness. And here it's critical to know where are these like more thickened sequences.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because the alum shales, they are quite predominant across large areas of Sweden, but I guess like you're saying, it's finding where they pinch and where they swell.
Well, it's actually stackening, so it's a structural process.
Yeah. Sorry, I was using the wrong terminology there completely, but thickening. And also because it's quite a structurally controlled area where there's a lot of folding. Are you using that in your targeting process as well to find kind of fold hinge thickening and?
Not yet, but initially we just want to mark out areas where we think they should come close to surface or outcropping at surface. And if you are in the field, like outcrop conditions aren't too good, so it's not that it's with an easy mapping exercise that you can map out where these alum shales are. Best are actually where you have small rivers cross-cutting your stratigraphy, because those are the areas where you can actually see alum shales in outcrop.
Okay.
But of course, that's kind of limiting your area.
Yeah, I was going to say just how friable shales are. I guess it's a hard thing to find outcrop in the field. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, VCAN's obviously a huge asset for district, but I just wanted to touch on your Tomtebo project down in the Bergslagen region. So you've recently signed a deal with Boliden last year. Yeah. Could you tell us about basically what is Tomtebo and what's that deal? How is it structured?
Yeah, so Tomtebo is actually, we can classify it as a more classical VMS style deposit or mineralization, I have to say. It's more analog to what we have in Falun, so the historic Falun mine. There's a lot of similarities, but the good thing is that there's a lot of open potential to find more. And what we did in the last 4 years, we did quite an intense drill program in 2021, where we drilled about 12,000 meters with some good results. But what we also use is a lot of geochemical analyses to really define where we are in our stratigraphy, because for these kind of VMS-like deposits, it's really important that we follow the right stratigraphy. And we have done that now for, say, our Tomtebo mineralization, but we extrapolated that also for the whole property. So we did regional sampling for whole rock geochemistry, just to try to see where this preferred stratigraphical horizon is. And this, of course, is generating new targets which we want to test in the coming near future. And when it comes to the Boliden collaboration, so last year, as you mentioned, we signed this agreement whereby Boliden can earn into our Tomtebo project. But besides, they also brought in one of their key projects in the Bergslagen area. It's called Stollberg. And Stollberg and Tomtebo, they have similarities, but also are different. So Stollberg is more like an analog to Garpenberg. And of course, Garpenberg is one of the best operating mines in Sweden and even in Europe. We see a lot of upside potential for the Stollberg area to hopefully make a similar discovery.
And it makes sense from Boliden's point of view as well, them both being in the same region for them. Okay, fantastic. So how far are they're drilling at the moment, is that correct?
So we're currently drilling in the Stollberg area. We finished 3 holes so far, and the 4th one is ongoing. We anticipate to finish the drilling early December, and then hopefully come up with assay data results probably the beginning of 2025.
Fantastic. So what is and then the next step after that, once you get those assays results, what's your next step for that region?
So we try to develop both the Tomtebo project and the Stollberg project in collaboration with Boliden. Boliden is funding, District is the operator. So we're currently making plans how to continue with the good results we have in Tomtebo. So it will be follow up on our drilling we did earlier this year, but also see if we can test some other areas of interest based on all the newly obtained geochemical knowledge we have.
Fantastic. And so you've got about 10 million Canadian to play with?
It's kind of a 4-year period. So Boliden has 4 years to earn in on to say Tomtebo and Stollberg, or at least on Tomtebo. And in these 4 years, they have to spend at least 10 million Canadian dollars. If they do it within 3 years, of course, the timeline will be earlier, and we can form a JV whereby Boliden owns 85% of the project, and we will obtain 15% in both projects.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, but it's a tried and true playbook doing these JVs with these larger majors. So I think that's a great deal that the district's been able to do.
And the interesting thing is here that it's both companies who bring in a project. Often when you think about the classical JV structures, it's often that there's one project brought in by one party.
Yeah.
In this case, it's kind of two projects.
The marrying of the two projects. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Okay, I see upside from there. Okay, well, I won't take any more time because I'm aware that you need to get going, Hein, but thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, today we've got Björn and Frederick from ABB Group in Sweden, who've just produced a report in line with talking about the electrification within Europe and basically how they're addressing their carbon footprint and how the whole mining industry can progress forwards towards a greener future, which is what we're all chasing. So, Björn, you just jumped up on stage and took the mic. Give us just a quick rundown of what this report was about and what you spoke about.
Yeah, so this was a report with insights from over 400 different industry experts across the globe, and we were looking at where they are with their goals for and the transition when it comes to a more sustainable mining industry. So the report showed that all or majority of all the mining companies today have clear plans to go towards a net zero mining production in long run. We also see that in the next coming 5 years there will be quite a big investment into this transformation of the industry segment, and we also saw that this transformation is all about people and technology, so retraining, reskilling, attracting people, and then also implementing technology, so automation, electrification, digitalization solutions. And a lot of the companies said that the technology available today will actually take us quite far when it comes to making their operations more sustainable. And one area where a majority of the companies want to address is actually big vehicles driven by fossil fuel today, so electrifying those assets. And the report also clearly said that the way to go about this transformation. The industry want to do that in partnerships with the technology providers like ABB, and we very much share that view as well, that collaborating together, putting the best type of brains together, you can also achieve the best results with regards to sustainability, but also productivity and cost as well.
Absolutely. So innovation is a key, as a central focal point, I guess. Yep. Now, with just going back to what you're talking about large vehicles, yep, these diesel-driven engines, and electrifying them. I heard Rolf just recently say that a really good statistic that 57% of Sweden's mining industry is getting electrified, which is fantastic. Now, this is in Sweden, where we've got a lot of hydropower and a lot of clean energy sources. In those jurisdictions or geographical jurisdictions where they're relying a lot on coal power, how do you see this electrification in large vehicles? Do you see it playing a big role, or what do you think is the best way for them to go?
Yeah, so I think, when a lot of the industry overall is focusing on electrification of vehicles, that will mean that there will be a lot of technical benefits, let's say, from those machines. We have seen when we have built trolley trucks and trolley solutions and electrified large vehicles, that first of course you have helped to decarbonize, but you also increase efficiency and productivity, because they are typically a newer generation, faster, and so you can produce more as well. So that probably means that also in countries where you don't have electric grid, you will eventually go in that direction, but it will take longer, because of course you don't have the same benefit from a sustainability point of view. But of course, if you electrify your operation, it's like if you get an electric vehicle and then the grid is built up with green energy sometimes in the future, you're still doing your part, and I think that will be part of this. So I think it will still happen, but with a slower pace. And I also think we'll see more and more of those customers investing in their own electrical generation, and we see that with the companies around the world. They have solar plants attached to the site and so on. Of course, mining operations are massive energy producers, so it's difficult to build let's say, your own energy production completely. But at least in areas where maybe you have coal, they could at least have part of it from let's say, greener energy sources. So short answer, I think the benefit is of course not the same, but I still think it will happen. It will just take a bit longer time. Yeah, absolutely. And
I add to that, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for
so
it.
I think one thing we're also seeing in the study that we had is that although we see that a lot of mining companies are planning to do changes and quite extensive transformations within the coming 5 years, they still see it that they will do it in an incremental way. So as Björn says, it will come step by step, basically, and that goes the same when it comes to electrification as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as it's going in the right direction, if it's going slow, it's going in the right direction, isn't it? Yeah. That's what we're all about. Now, I guess another question, as far as the communication side of things, is you mentioned that the uptake, or not the uptake, the correct word would be, I guess, the acceptance from the general community for mining seems to be pretty low on average. What techniques do you think we could use to just make it more accepted in general?
I think it is low. It's a lot lower than it should be. I think also we've done a lot of good things in terms of communicating the benefits of mining and the impact that it has on our everyday lives. I think one good example is this initiative that we're running. Now we're here at the Autumn Summit for SVEMIN, and together we have this collaboration within the communications network of the different mining companies, technology providers, who we really aim to enhance the image of the mining industry, in this case specific for Sweden, but the same goes for Europe. So it's a lot of showing how is what we mine done deep down underground, how is that impacting our everyday lives? It's our toothpaste, it's the electric cars, it's how we charge our iPhones, it's all of those different aspects. So I think, and that's a continuous effort that we need to continue to work on. And I still see there's a lot more to be done, but I think also, as Rolf said from Euromeister in the panel, that it's a lot of, it's communication, and some, in the heart of communication, it's repetition. So it's getting that message across time and time and time again, until it sticks, and really having this solid proof points on this is what mining brings to our everyday lives, and this is why it's essential for the sustainable transformation.
Absolutely. I think, it's like you said, converting it to your smartphone. Most people don't realise that there's rare earth elements, there's copper, there's graphite, there's all these things inside it, and they are on these things 12 hours a day. So, communication is key with that. And on communication as well, I mean, I'm a geologist, and a lot of the time I speak to people and they say, what does an exploration geologist actually do? And then when I say, I'm looking for these materials, and it leads into a discussion where it comes back to, geez, this thing's actually really important. So from a skills-based point of view, I guess getting more people into the industry so that we can create this transition faster. What techniques do you think would be good to get more people into these jobs that are related to mining and exploration?
Yeah. I think what you are doing is a good example. I mean, talking to people and showing what's actually happening in the mining industry, and it's mining is extremely interesting, let's say, business, both from a technology point of view. I mean, there is so much of the cutting edge technology that goes into mining. People might not be aware of that. And also, I think if you look at the mining industry, and that's where the geologist comes in a lot compared to many of the other industry segments, the factory of a mine is unique everywhere you go. Because if you build any other factory, you can basically have the same blueprint everywhere. But in a mine, of course, it's linked to the geology and evolves over time in a different way. So it makes it also like ever-changing and therefore also a very exciting environment to be in. So I think to just show all the exciting aspects, that's what we need to continue to do.
Definitely, make it sexy.
Yes.
So people want to jump in. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess just to wrap it out, you want to describe who ABB is and what you guys do as a group, and have a chat about that.
Yeah, so ABB as a group is a large company, 105,000 employees. So we do electrification, automation and digitalization for all industry segments, utilities and transport and infrastructure sector. But mining is one of our most important segments, where we are collaborating with key clients across the world to build carbon zero fossil-free mining production with our automation and electrification and digitalization solution that covers the entire plant from basically grid down to wheel of the machines. And then we have some specialized niche products where we are an OEM, so we do hoisting solutions and grinding solutions. So we are basically everywhere in the value chain of a mine.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, thanks very much, Frederick and Björn, for talking to me today. And let's hope things keep going the way they're supposed to be going, which is towards net zero.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.